firstly, I should say that I'm not an expert in digital education, and very much my expertise is around, much more of that kind of reading for pleasure, and direct to consumer that way. But at Penguin, we are obviously very aware of how children read books in schools and want it to be. I suppose we feel very passionately about the fact that reading books in schools should be an enjoyable experience, because the worst possible thing would be for it to be an arduous chore that they then would turn them off books in their spare time. And of course, the influence of the voice of their teachers and their librarians is so important to us that we need to make sure that we're very helpful. So we're certainly developing, I suppose, the most meaningful thing that we're doing at the moment, and I still think we're probably at the beginning of this journey of connecting those two worlds together, is creating resources for teachers and digital resources for teachers and classrooms and schools. So one good example of that is something called Puffin Virtually Live, where we allow an author a kind of interactive live experience with an author to be, I always say beamed in, but distributed to school networks on their, either in their assembly hall or on all of their computers, so that children from all over the country and from all over the world get to speak to that author and see them live. They can send their questions in, they can send them in advance, that you can create and curate a really exciting experience that previously would only be open to a few schools, because with the best will in the world, an author can't go to every school in the country. It's just impossible. They would just never have time. So it sort of, that principle that Penguin was founded on, which is around the democratization of reading, making reading available for everybody. We're using digital channels to enable that within that educational space for kids, so allowing the author to be there for everybody. And further to that, I think it's, we are constantly thinking about how we can be more useful, how we can bring added value to things in the education space digitally. So as well as the general resources, like something like Roald Dahl Day is also a great example. We create huge packs of both online and offline sources of fun and inspiration and knowledge to teachers to really help them. We just want to help them every day. But we do more explicit things too, and I think probably the Anne Frank app that we recently published is a further example of taking a text that is studied and is, does appear on curricula, and enriching it by adding in the sort of supplementary information, the sort of thing that you were talking about in terms of, what a digital textbook might be. It's not a digital textbook, it's absolutely a piece of linear narrative, it's a story, but we've put in all of the sort of supplementary material, maps and floor plans of the house, historical information, photographs, archive material to layer the experience and add the context to those reading, which I imagine will be particularly useful to those studying it.